Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Manasa Kodiganti, and I'm one of the proud volunteers at Geospatial Awareness Hub. GIS is a thriving geospatial industry, inspiring many geospatial professionals and aspiring young minds to the growth of geospatial technologies. GIS strives to aid in growing the geospatial business, creating awareness about the latest trends through workshops, lectures, business and employment. The highly enthusiastic and inquisitive young volunteers of GIS flourishes on your support, and on behalf of all of them, I would like to extend our ardent gratitude to all of you for attending this webinar. Today, GIS in collaboration with GIS Cloud is proudly presenting a webinar on Power Your Workflow with Online GIS Apps, from data collection to collaboration and sharing, integrated with desktop solutions by Igor Farkas. A quick bit of GIS Cloud, which is an European company working in more than 50 countries worldwide with partners around the globe. GIS Cloud is dedicated to building a collaborative mapping platform for users of all profiles. Our presenter today is Mr. Igor Farkas, Business Development and Partners Manager at GIS Cloud, who is a proactive, and his agile framework for the business expansion has helped to improve the GIS Cloud platform. His agility and energy drive the whole GIS Cloud team, setting the bar high and reaching short and long-term goals. Igor also takes part in online product development, providing feedback from GIS Cloud users and partners. He is responsible for expanding the GIS Cloud Partners Network, offering GIS Cloud to various clients all over the world. So today, he will be presenting the benefits of geospatial cloud infrastructure and online GIS workflow. This will give you an idea on why and when one should go for GIS services and operations in the cloud. He is an expert holding an MA in geography, and today he specializes in online GIS platforms. He will give a talk and a short demo of GIS cloud infrastructure and its spatial database applications. We hope this webinar will help you get insight and unique knowledge of online GIS solutions for various business applications. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any queries during the presentation, kindly drop them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. We'll bring them up at the end of the presentation. Now, without further ado, we turn to the Igor Farkas. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. And first of all, thank you, Sumit, and the team for organizing this. It's definitely a pleasure to working with you, and hopefully we can continue scheduling webinars like this in the future. But first, thank you all for joining. I see a lot of you joining today, and thank you for taking the time out of your Friday evening. If you're ready, let's get started. And let's have some fun, right? It's Friday evening. Hope you enjoyed your week, and let's prepare for the weekend.
Sure.
Yeah, I can share my screen, right?
Yes, you are the host now.
Perfect. Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I got.
Okay, so let's see if we can play from start. Yes. Okay, so today, in coordination with and the team, we kind of decided that we wanted to show you how GIS Cloud can actually help you power your workflow through obviously the solutions that we've made that are made to work completely in the cloud, obviously. And we've developed solutions that can help you, in any basically step of the work that you have, from data collection to collaboration and sharing. And obviously what's I think will be really interesting to you guys is that everything can be integrated with desktop solutions. Let's see if we can move forward. Okay, so today we would like to cover a lot of topics. We only have 50 minutes actually for the presentation, and then we'll leave something for the questions and answers. So first, obviously an introduction. We'll talk about why would you even use, a solution that's in the cloud? More specifically, why would you use GIS solution that's in the cloud? Then we'll talk about, GIS and how we, get started and why you should use GIS Cloud. Then we'll talk about the solutions that we've developed, and maybe the most important part is to actually show you how this looks like and how this works. And one exciting thing is that we also decided to have a contest today. So everyone attending this webinar can get access to our contest. You will need to create an account. We'll talk about it after the webinar, but we'll reach out to you. So please make sure to stay until the end to get more information and win subscriptions as well. And as we already mentioned, feel free to ask any questions during the session, and we'll do and answer those at the end of it. Okay, so first, why GIS in the cloud? The most important question, actually the question that even got us started as a company, because we obviously focus solely on the solutions that are in the cloud, right? So we all know, I'm sure that a lot of you have joined this webinar because you're in GIS industry, you know and understand, why would someone even use GIS? It's really, in some cases, crucial to implement the spatial component in your decision making. So it's not a discussion whether you should have a spatial tool in your arsenal when you create something or when you make a decision. The question is, okay, how you can actually improve that. So once we kind of, from our experience, when we got started and we approached a lot of organizations and companies, we kind of said, okay, you obviously understand GIS and how it helps your organization. Can you tell us a bit about, how you use it, and do you use it? Do you want to use it? And there are actually two groups of users. There are big organizations, and in most cases, government organizations that can actually afford, and then they use GIS tools, they already use it, but not all of them in the organization. So let's say that something around 15 to 20%, people working for the organization actually benefit from having the tool. So mostly those are GIS departments and maybe other departments that work closely with those GIS departments, but we all understand that GIS can be used by anyone, especially in business environments. So our main question was, okay, how come you already have a GIS in your department, right? In your solution arsenal? How come you're not using it to, to its full extent? How come people in the field are not using it? How come you're not deploying these solutions in all of your departments throughout the organization, right? That's the first group, and then you have the second group represented by small and medium-sized companies that actually say, yeah, we would definitely love to use GIS, but we don't have the time, we don't have the money. It's really too cumbersome for us to actually deploy something like that. Although we fully understand it, but we can't focus on it at the moment. Although I know it's crucial for us to have it. And we all of that feedback, we did a lot of research, and we are actually doing it all the time. We've been in the business, for more than a decade. We actually are one of the first that got started. So we categorized all their answers and challenges into three main groups. And these are the main challenges that we see even today, and main reasons why a lot of companies are not deploying GIS solutions across all of their organizations or even adopting any GIS solution. Why? Because first and foremost, it is complex. I think all of you will agree. A lot of you, I assume, have spent countless hours working on your GIS degree or something like that. But basically, you need to have a degree to work with a GIS system. And it can become really complex, and it can become complex really fast for users that are in a different part of their interest or industry or area, and they really don't have the time or knowledge to use a GIS tool that you have deployed in your organization. Now, also with it you get a lot of costs that are involved in not just okay, let's say that we need a GIS tool, then we need people we'll need to hire them, we'll need to educate them. It definitely costs a lot, but also there are a lot of costs for those licenses that you purchase, and maybe for the infrastructure you have huge costs for even buying the whole hardware infrastructure and maintaining it, and you need to have space, and that's why it's basically GIS is kind of reserved, or it was reserved for organizations that have the time, the money, and the room for all that kind of infrastructure. But also one of the biggest problem big organizations face today is that even when they do have people that understand this, and even when they do have the infrastructure and money to install and set it up, they're really extremely slow in customization, in developing, in building a tool, because let's say they have a lot of data, they have a lot of data silos, and then they consume a lot of information, but then it's kind of stays within GIS departments. They don't share that information with anyone. Maybe they do share it, but maybe through papers, or maybe through some complex tools that are not easy to use. So basically, at some point in time, GIS departments are there because they store data, and you don't include it in any decision making, and because of that you don't invest in existing solutions that you have, and because of that your data becomes obsolete, and you can't tweak your solutions that you have. You can't integrate with, I don't know, any other systems that you use, ERPs or CRMs. So basically you've deployed something that you will not use in the future. So these are the main three groups of issues that companies have faced before and are facing right now, that you can easily solve with deploying a cloud solution, either completely or partially. Now let's focus on maybe the first group, the complex part, and this is the slide that we like to use. Essentially what we did is we kind of looked at the solution that was kind of offered before, and I think we all know and understand the picture right here. So this is what was our initial goal. We wanted to fix this. If we want to introduce GIS solutions for any role that you can find in a certain organization, you had to make it simple, fast, and less complex. So we had to fix this with this, right? And I think you will all agree when a colleague from your finance department or colleague working in the field need to collect something. If they work with a solution like this, then they will do their job, right? Without them spending years in a college, right, to learn GIS. Now, second point that I made, high costs, definitely involved with the infrastructure that you need to set up. And Sumit, I believe that was one of your questions that you wanted to also address at this webinar. With deploying cloud solutions, you can actually leverage infrastructure as a service as well. So you can have something, you can test how your GIS will work within your organization without investing millions into your hardware. And of course, you can have servers locally as well. So we offer our solutions on-premise as well, but it is really up to you. You don't have to initially get started big, right? You can start small and build on top of that. So initially, you don't have basically any IT or hardware investments. You can hire everything. You can use it as a service, get started, get small wins, and then basically move on to bigger things. When we're talking about hardware, for example, let's look at a data collection as it was before. You had really extremely expensive rugged devices that you had to purchase just to collect a point on a map that shows something on a location. But now basically everyone has a smartphone in their hands, in their pockets, and basically why wouldn't you utilize that, something that you already have, for your GIS, right? And that's why cloud enables you to actually run the solutions that you introduce anywhere on any form and factor. And with cloud, not just in GIS world, but in all industries, with any solutions that are out there, this is something that's really common. You can then start unlocking all these new exciting features like, you know, sharing and collaboration. And what's maybe the most important part is that you can make it real time, right? So if you remember, I spoke about having data that's obsolete, that's outdated. With cloud solutions, you can actually have something, you can have an information that has been collected like seconds ago. It's something that we will show today as well. And maybe the most important part, as I see it as a GIS guy, is that once I you know, create the data, create a map, you know, make a decision, do the analysis, you know, once I, you know, finish my project, the biggest thing is that I want to share it with the departments, with people who can benefit from having such information. So I don't want to, you know, print something on a map and send it out and my job is done, right? So it's extremely important to communicate your information, your project, your map, whatever you have, properly, through proper user interfaces, through proper standards, methodologies that only cloud can bring to the table. And then something that I also mentioned, when you deploy a, let's say, a desktop GIS tool, you need to tweak it. You know, it's really hard to do it. You know, you have to spend a lot of countless hours working on something that may not be connected, or that's not compatible with the new technologies. And, you know, when it comes to cloud, you will always work with the latest trends, with the latest technologies, and it's really highly compatible with anything that's out there in other industries and in other solutions like ERPs or CRMs, as I mentioned. So you can simply use, we call them webhooks, to connect to these kind of different solutions and make, you know, we call it, make your own tool or a solution spatially aware, right? So you can introduce maps into applications that you already used that didn't have that spatial component. And like I said at the beginning, we all know and understand why GIS and that spatial is really important for someone. Now, I think a lot of organizations, when we show them this presentation, they say, yeah, you know, that's really good. I wanna be fast in development. I don't want to spend you know, time, countless hours working on my infrastructure. I don't want to hire guys working on my IT, etc. Yes, I do have smartphones. I don't want to utilize them, but okay, how much does this really cost, right? And this is, you know, also extremely important part. With cloud solutions, everything's scalable. You can start small if needed. You can get those small wins and then expand. You can test it out with a couple of your colleagues, with a couple of clients, and then replicate that same success, you know, throughout the industry. So what we actually see with our clients is that they start, you know, with a couple of, you know, projects and a couple of people that join the solution, the environment, the cloud environment. They give feedback, they tweak it because now they can, and then they replicate that same. And in, let's say, in 6 months, they actually end up, you know, with people across all the organization using the same tool. So it's actually pretty amazing to see the transformation that's happening in those organizations that start using our solution. And we are definitely a part of that transformation. So, and obviously cost being a really huge factor in their decision making when they say, yes, let's move forward with this. We don't have the time to use anything that's on desktop, or, you know, we can't spend anything, you know, we don't want you to replace your desktop tools, but, you know, embrace them and extend the reach of your desktop tools to other departments, right? Now, I think these are the main things. Why would someone actually move to cloud, either completely or partially? And by cloud, I don't mean that you have to use servers that are, I don't know, somewhere in a different country. You can actually have everything that's online, but servers will be on premise as well. So we have a lot of customers, especially government-based organizations and agencies. They need to have the data within the organization. And that's also possible, but once we do it on our end, once you install our solutions on your servers, then you still get those cloud capabilities, right? You're not locked in. You can create your own internal cloud, private cloud, as we call it. So the next big question is, okay, we're sold. Yes, let's move to cloud. It's a good tool. We want to go ahead with it. why should we go with GIS Cloud? And this is where, you know, we start talking about ourselves, how we do things right from the start, which was a decade ago, actually, when gscloud.com was a free domain. It kind of shows you how early we started. One of the first cloud solutions when it comes to maps and GIS are the ones that we built. So we have huge expertise in that area. And right from the start, we started with the same notion that we want to create a collaborative mapping solution for the entire workflow organization. What does that mean is that you want to include not just GIS departments, you want to include everyone who needs to have access to your data, or not just access, anyone who can contribute to your data, whether that's, you know, someone in the field collecting information about that broken pipe, or, you know, the lady in the finance department that needs to attach an invoice to a specific parcel that needs to be maintained or something like that. So these are kind of workflows that we can target with our solutions, and the way we build them, we kind of focused on collaboration part, on communication. To give you a bit of a background, we started initially by developing our own map engine. I think this will be interesting to you guys. We actually created the fastest map engine available. So you can actually render millions and millions of features on a map. You can render raster data as well. You can render them, so visualize them on any smartphone, tablet, whatever you have. And that was a game changer. You know, companies before wanted to introduce mapping for tablets, smartphones, laptops, whatever, but they couldn't because it was not fast enough. And now with applications and businesses today, you really can't afford them, afford for the application to be slow, right? We as GIS users, we are kind of used to, okay, I want to have millions points on a map, and I will wait for 2 minutes for it to visualize or analyze whatever. But you really can't have someone working in business, not used to GIS, that they will wait for more than 5 seconds even for something to show on a map. So with the solution and with the best map engine that we built, we kind of overcame the biggest roadblock, I believe, was that kind of jump-started the development of cloud solutions, even in other companies as well. And it's our own proprietary technology. So the fastest map engine, if you want to work with it, you will work with GIS Cloud. Okay, so when I say collaborative and when we say entire workflow, we really mean it. So that's why we built on top of the fastest map engine that we built. We built a whole platform around the engine with different capabilities. And initially we started with these 4 main applications. So you can see the data collection tool for smartphones and tablets. There's also a map editor application that's a true GIS in the cloud. There's a map portal that can be completely customized, and you can actually, without any developing skills, you can build your own application. And then there's also an app that's kind of fully optimized for non-GIS people that can also be customized and branded further if needed. Now, this is something that I would like to show you today. I would like to speed up maybe a Okay. Okay. Just a second. Okay, there was actually a recording recorded. Okay, so apologies for that. So what I wanted to show you, a couple of use cases that we got, a couple of clients throughout the year that we got, in the past and that we are still working with. For example, one of the biggest customers today is the one in Saudi Arabia, and they will deploy GIS Cloud product across all their local government organizations with the main goal of sharing all their raster imagery data. So anyone in those organizations can actually consume it and can use it in other applications if needed. It's an extremely big project with thousands of people using the system at the same time, with huge data rendering on a lot of tablets and laptops and whatnot. And it's one of the biggest projects we had a pleasure to work on. And it kind of shows you the capability and the power of the engine that we've built. Also, one of the flagship products, as we call it, the data collection part, has been a door opener for a lot of customers that need to do asset registration. For example, a couple of slides that I kind of skipped showed you the Orange County, where you had people collecting data about water diseases, and we kind of always want to mention Orange County because they're near our biggest competitor, and they still chose us for the project they had that year. So it's kind of good story. But then, we have a lot of customers. For example, this is an example in Nigeria, where you have the biggest electricity distribution company in Nigeria using our products to do asset registration and customer enumeration, so they could, prevent electricity theft as well. We have examples in India as well, obviously, a lot of users from India. And we kind of wanted to mention this specifically, considering that this was a humanitarian effort from volunteers in the region. I'm sure you remember big floods that you had there. And then they used our tools to locate, streams and places where they need to prevent the diseases in water. So they need to organize and schedule different people to go to different sites, and they had to use our tool for that. And it's a really big and interesting use case, and everything that I'm showing you right now can be found as a use case on our blog as well. So definitely feel free and make sure you visit that as well. Now we kind of wanted to show you all these use cases from different parts of the world, just to show you how our products are used worldwide, right? So there's an example in Chile where they use our map portal to showcase all their assets that firefighters need to use when they do their work, right? So they can use it internally, but also externally as well, so people know how to react and when to go, where to go in case of emergency. We also have some local, obviously we being from Croatia, we have some local examples. And this is a really good example of how we've deployed solutions for managing water assets in Croatia. Croatia being famous for its water resources. So it's huge here in Croatia. This map specifically shows all the pipes and that are connected to certain houses that need to be maintained either on daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then they have teams that need to visit these locations, and they use our tools for that as well. And you can see an example of how they actually do that when they enter one of the manholes and see what they need to do. Now, why am I showing you all this? Is because we want to show you how the same setup, the same solutions that we have can be used for different workflows. And that's why we say power your own workflow. So if you have your own challenge that you need to address, we can help you set up GIS Cloud products in a way that it actually powers whatever you're currently doing and working on. Okay, so to continue with use cases, and it's always a pleasure to mention one of our clients in Amsterdam, obviously Amsterdam being famous for its bicycles. So they use data collection tool to map out all poles for bicycles, so they know which ones are in good or bad condition and what's the next phase, right? Okay, they did the asset registration, and then next step was to go to these locations, prepare them, and give the report to the city council that all the infrastructure for the bicycle part has been maintained or restored and whatnot. And what a better tool than a data collection tool that's compatible with smartphones, so you can see everything in real time. And before I jump into live demo, I need to mention that we focus a ton of our energy and effort into humanitarian projects. We do a lot of nonprofits, projects as well with a lot of nonprofit organizations. And these are just a couple of examples of how we helped local communities improve their lives through spatial GIS solutions, through GIS Cloud. Now, directly influencing their lives by implementing a simple technology, simple yet powerful technologies on their infrastructure that they have. For example, one of the biggest stories that we have is providing clean water in Fiji and Liberia, where they used our data collection tool to map out all the water filters in the area. And they also used it for census data. They collected information about population through our data collection tool. I'll talk about it a bit later. But before I jump into a live demo, I would like to show you this map. It's a really cool map, actually, showing all the points that have been collected with our data collection tool. And of course, analyzed later in our editor tool, and of course, visualized and showed later through viewers and portals and even crowdsourcing as well. So this is a really powerful and one of the maps that we are extremely proud of because it kind of shows you the experience we had and the customers that we are working on and working with. Okay, before we jump into a live demo, Sumit and the guys, is everything okay? Anything we need to address?
Everything is good so far, Iga. And surprisingly, we have got around 112 participants and 7 panelists. And I have also shared the feedback form with them. So by the time we are completing with the live demo, towards the end of the day, they can fill up the form, feedback form. And if they have any questions, they can also send it in the feedback form only, so that we can send it to you. So the purpose will get solved, as well as people who will fill up the feedback form will be able to get the certificate, e-certificate for this particular webinar.
Perfect.
So we can head up towards the live demo.
Perfect. And I think I'll use 15 to 20 minutes for the live demo. I'll try to make it fast. Obviously, we can't go deeper into the products, but hopefully I'll be able to scratch the surface of each and every one of them and basically motivate you to create an account. And just for those that join later, we'll be doing a contest at the end of the presentation in 15-20 minutes. So anyone who will create an account and do a couple of things, then you will get a free subscription for you to use. Okay, if that's okay with you guys, I would like to jump into a real world of cloud geospatial solutions. So this is our main website, giscloud.com. You can visit it right now if you need to, if you want to. But I will now show you first how this actually looks like when you'll have an account. You can of course see here, how it works, what kind of products we have. And today I'd like to show you the data collection part, the editor part, even maybe show you, if we'll have time, how you can actually build your own application, your own one-button application if needed, and tease you a bit about our crowdsourcing. And then the contest will be related to these two add-ons that we've built for QGIS and ArcMap. Okay, I will now log in with my own account. And when you create an account, you can do it through Google or Facebook as well. I think we added LinkedIn. So first thing that you'll see when you create an account is, okay, you need to choose between these two options. Well, if you choose the left one, you will open the editor application, which enables you to, it says here, you can create, upload, auto, publish, and share your spatial data. And as I say, it's a true GIS, but in the cloud. For a lot of organizations, that especially the ones that have not been introduced to any GIS tool, Map Editor is the only solution they need. So they don't need a desktop GIS, I guarantee it, right? Obviously, people that do, that do already use some kind of a GIS tool, desktop GIS, and they need to do some complex analysis and etc. Obviously, yes, that's why we kind of integrated with those tools as well. But for a lot of organizations, because of the capabilities that we built into the editor is the only thing that's needed. Okay, but first, considering that our data collection part is maybe our flagship product, I'll start with this. So collect, inspect, and manage field data. I'll try to move faster now, just so I have time to show you how this works. Now, why I think this is our flagship product, I believe it's because I just need like 5 minutes to convince them that this is the tool that they cannot work with. And I'll show you why. Now, let's say you are an organization, you need to map out all broken lights so you can repair them. You need to get budgets for it. You need to hire people. You need to hire contractors, but you really don't know where these broken lights are, you know, poles, street poles, where they are, and which ones are broken, which conditions they are, how many, you know, how much resources you need, what are the budgets that you need for it. So you don't know anything. So what you need to do initially is you need to go out there in the field and collect that information, obviously. And what our organizations doing even today is that they use a piece of paper, a pen like this, and yeah, let's go and start collecting information. Some of them even say, yeah, we need to know where that is on a map. So they bring a GPS handheld device, and then they kind of combine it. They go back to the office, spend countless hours digitizing that information, and they end up with wrong data. Now, let's see how you can do that same workflow, but in GIS Cloud. Okay, first part is create a project. Let's say we want to collect information about street poles. Now, I usually say at this part, this is where the magic happens. But basically, you can think of this as having a piece of a paper, a pen, and simply writing down what kind of information do you need for your field crews to collect. To do that, you have all these options. Remember when I mentioned census data and how one of our customers actually did that? They did it with the data collection tool by creating hundreds and hundreds of form items. So you're not limited with any with the amount of form items, and you can actually use, you know, a lot of options that I'll show you in a moment. Okay, let's say that we have, I don't know, we want them for our field crews. We want them to type in their address manually. Let's call it like that. So, okay, then we'll say first you'll need to give me information about what are you collecting, and I don't want them to manually type in, yes, I'm collecting information about a street pole. I want them to actually select this from a list. So street pole, it can be light pole, it can be electricity pole, assuming that these are different poles. And then, so you can see that I can actually add these kind of items, and these are the items that you can actually choose from. Just to make it custom, so you actually see how real time it is, I will type in something that's completely random. Okay, and now all these options kind of help field crews to fully understand what they need to do. Plus, through these options, you can control what kind of data comes into the system, and also you'll make sure that all the data that you need will come into the system. For example, by making this field a required one, they will not be able to send the data unless they populate this field with a value. So it's cool like that. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, although this is extremely fun to do. I'm sure that when you create an account, you'll probably create some of your own forms. Actually, you'll need to if you want to win a subscription. Excellent. And now I want them to collect the condition of it. Obviously, I want to take a photo of it. So yes, you can collect media files as well. You can even record audio. And now, in addition to these kind of standard fields, you can actually collect some information that's collected automatically. Like, for example, I want to know who collected that information. So let's say you have contractors doing work for you, and by having this field, you can actually say, yeah, you collected 50 points. I will give you this amount of money for your work, right? So we actually have people, companies doing that. You can calculate latitude, longitude, whatever you need to do. So there are a lot of options. One thing that I definitely need to mention is, are dependencies. Because with dependencies, you can control what or which fields will actually show depending on the values that have been selected in previous items. You can use dependencies to make the forms for field crews less scary, because you could imagine people in the field in Liberia seeing 100 fields in the phone. So yeah, they didn't do that. They kind of they've been, they hide them in the dependency option, and basically as soon as they kind of populate all these fields, new appeared, and it was a streamlined process for them. Now, one thing before I finish creating this project, one thing that you probably noticed is this part. Huge, huge functionality, huge. What you do with GPS handheld device, you collect points. But what if I need to collect information about a road, right? It's not a point. Yes, you can collect points and then connect them, but it's not a point. You have to do it manually then later. Now, or not now, we have that feature for a long time now, but you can collect lines and polygons as well. Yeah, try it out. Okay, let's say that we are satisfied with the form that we created. Simply create project. You can type in the copyright here. You can write down the description just to have the distinction between the project that you created. Before you start sending out the crews, you can preview the form. You can always go back to that form and add new fields if needed. Imagine we had customers in Australia, and you can imagine, you probably know, you have experience with huge land, but you need to send out your crews to hundreds and hundreds of miles away, and then basically they don't have the right tools, they don't have the items, they don't have the paper, everything in their paper to fill in the information. But with our tool now, you can actually go back to the form, say, yes, I want to add this option, I want to add these form items, and now just tell your colleagues to refresh the form, and they will immediately see it in their data collection tool or their smartphone. Okay, as soon as you click create project, we do everything for you. We create a layer, we create the base map, and now the next step is to share your project with someone else. For example, I'll share it with my demo user, and this is extremely important. Now I can decide who can do what with my data. We kind of even made the distinction between someone creating completely new features, new points, collecting new data from people that need to only update existing points. Usually companies have two different teams: collection crews, maintenance crews. Collection crews obviously have can collect option, and maintenance crews that need to revisit locations, repair them, update information, maybe take the latest photo, say that it's not broken anymore. Then they have that option, update functionality. But I can say, okay, I can do both if needed as well. Okay, so this is, the first phase. I kind of said 5 minutes, but I'm talking a lot, so we could actually create a form like in 1 minute. I would like to actually show you how this looks like on my smartphone. Let me see if I can share my screen. Sumit, can I ask you, do you see my smartphone screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Perfect, okay. If you can see my smartphone, then you can see that it's live. This is my smartphone that I have. And yep. At the top left corner, you can see MDC, which is the data collection tool that you can download. It's compatible with Android and iOS devices. And I'm currently logged in as myself. And if I click here, refresh projects, and say, yes, I want to choose a project, it will say, yeah, street poles. There it is. I can select it, and then I can go to the form. We can skip some of these options that we have in settings, but they're all really, really useful. And now you can see, actually, this is the form that we built. So the address part is text field 1, 2, 3, asset. So we have street pole, light pole, electricity pole, ABC, right? You remember that option. Then we have good. We can take the photo of it, use photo. We can record audio. So I'm currently recording myself, and hopefully this will be a good recording. Okay, I'm done, and I can send my data. Now you can see a number 1 appeared in Queue tab, meaning that one submission is waiting to be uploaded. What this means is that you can actually work in offline mode. So you can have people in remote areas without internet connection collecting data, and then once they get in range of Wi-Fi 3G, 4G, 5G network, then the submission will be sent. So you can fill in the queue with hundreds of points if needed. Considering that the point 1 now disappeared, it means that that point should be available on a map. And there it is. Now, if I click on it, I can see the information, I can see the photo that I took, and it's that simple. You can see my location, obviously. I'm currently in my hometown, working from home because of the virus. But yeah, this is the part where I just stop and look at people, gasp and say, is this even possible? Although I'm sure you guys already know about a lot of data collection tools out there. But yes, this is our flagship product for a reason, because it immediately gives you value. Organizations immediately start thinking about, so you're telling me that I can just build a form, send it to the smartphones that my employees already have, and start seeing points, lines, and polygons on a map representing my assets in real time today? And the simple answer is yes. So yeah, you imagine having hundreds of people doing that. You can see these points appear on a map in real time, and then you can start, analyzing it. Now, I'm assuming you have a lot of questions, so please do ask them in the questions and answers section. But before we start with the live demo, I'll just have, I think I have maybe a couple of minutes to show you. Okay, so what the next step is, once they are kind of amazed with it, the next question is, okay, perfect. So I have a lot of points on a map showing all the attribute information. What can I do with it later? Can I filter it? Can I visualize it? Can I maybe combine it with my other data that I have? And the answer is yes. So I can actually show you a different application. This is the map editor. And why I say it's a true GIS in the cloud, because you can see the difference between this tool and the one tool that we used for data collection. You have a lot of other options. So you can see that you can add layers, you can add new data, you can add your own data. You know what? Let's try to add one of the existing, or that feature. Let's say let's add my own data. Centroids. Okay. So these are the points representing locations in my home country, which is Croatia. And the beautiful part is that I don't have to reproject anything. Everything will be placed on a map perfectly. So you can see I can turn on and off the layers. I can have as many layers as I want. I will show you later some complex maps that we developed, etc. But you see the point. Now I can actually even create completely new features, create completely new layers, lines, polygons. You kind of saw feature, add feature. I can add, we even have snapping tool. No, I don't have the time to show you all that, but from a completely simple, start, you can get really, really complex, or something that you are already used to, right? Something that you understand, data grids and information, about the data. You can then start working on this. You can analyze it. So one of the things that we will send you in that contest is that you upload some of your own data that you have. And by the way, we support all data formats, raster, vector, whatever you have, we can consume it. But we will ask you to, play around with the tool and see what you can do with it. I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions when it comes to that. Now, I don't want to skip this part. I already showed you this in the data collection tool, but I think it's time to get serious. Once you're finished with your product, one of the key things that I mentioned at the beginning is, okay, you have your project, you've built everything, how can you share it? I don't want to print a map. That's old school, right? I want to enable my colleagues who are not GIS users, non-GIS people, public, whoever, to consume my data and maps in an environment that they actually understand. And also, I want to make sure that the data and maps that I share with them, that they have the right permissions so they don't mess up my data, for example. So if I, for example, share this with my, demo user, I don't want him to edit the data. So he won't be able to, he or she won't be able to click on a point or a line or polygon and change attributes or geometry or whatever, right? But I can enable him to do that. Now, this basically brings a whole nother world of workflows that you can implement. We had a customer working in road departments, working with infrastructure. They had one guy working with data and 10 people working with road lines that they had to add to the data set. So basically what he did is that he created a map with all the roads assets. He invited all those people to that same map, and all of them worked on the same data source. Imagine that. Before, they had to, all of them had to use QGIS. They had their own versions of the data. Then they kind of sent it to the main admin guy who had to version it, or etc., etc. So now they can have it all in one place like that. A lot of workflows can be covered. Sumer, do we have 2 more minutes?
We can take 10 more minutes because people are really interested to know, and we're getting good comments, and there are a lot of questions people asking. So if you have time and if you can increase the time slot by 10 or 15 minutes, that will be really helpful.
No worries. I can talk all day, as you can see. Okay, so perfect. Then we have 10 more minutes. Let's call it that. Now, okay, so considering that we have that much time, when you first log in, you will see a lot of maps that have been created by our users, if they are public. One extremely important thing to mention is that all your maps and data will be private. Everything is private, as you can see here, the label, until you make it public, as you can see it here. So you are in full control over who can do what with your data and who can see it. This is, for example, one of the maps that I've created, I would say 6 years ago. So, you know, even back then it was that powerful, but I created it from the scratch. So I uploaded all the information. I changed the symbologies, you know, labels. So you can play around with the visualization part. You can even control how the labels will be seen. And maybe the best thing to show you is, I'll show you a couple of examples in our map portal that we created. But what I wanted to follow up on is, okay, first you had to share your map, your project, your data with someone. But then can I control the environment that they use to consume my map? For example, if I simply send this link to someone who's not in GIS, although this is, I think all of you will agree if you use some kind of a GIS tool, you will agree, yes, this is fairly simple, right? But still it can become, you know, maybe scary for people that are not in GIS. So you actually want to build something that's more compatible to their skills, and even better, maybe create like a one-button application that does whatever they need to do. That's where our second product comes in place, which is our app builder. I switched back to our manager application. So if you remember this view, this is where you log in and you see this first. Then you can go here and you can see all your users. You can manage how many users you have in an organization. You can control access, who can do what with your data maps and applications. But also something I wanted to show you is, here is where you can create your own applications. And I'm not a developer, guys. I know it's pretty, it's unbelievable, but I'm not a developer. I'm kidding. Basically, I can create my own application without writing a single line of code. So what I can do here is I can go to, for example, this application. Let's see. I think I've actually changed the user of it. So let's see if this exists. If not, then yeah. I actually changed it for the sake of this webinar. Okay, let's log in. Okay, so webinar.gscloud.com is a domain that I use for my one-button application. Currently, it's not associated to any of the maps. Currently, it's completely generic. It's simple. But now, I will show you, or actually not this, I will do this, builder, and I will show you a completely new dimension. Okay, so you can see on the right, my generic application, on the left, all the information that I can control, you know, all the UI elements that I can add to my custom application. And then once I'm done with it, I can share it with my client, with my colleagues, and basically tell them that I developed my own app in one day, which is not true, but still. Okay, so let's say, okay, let's say if we can find the map. I have a lot of maps, guys, but that's not a problem. let's say, let's use this one. Okay, then I will choose toolbar so I can control what it will be visible here as well. I want to have search. I want to have maybe disable some of these tools. I can say, I could change background color. For example, instead of this blue, it can be like this. I can hide this icon as well. I can change my own logo. I can add panels. I can say, yes, data grids. I don't want to see it. Let's preview it first. Okay. I think it's like this. Okay, we'll change it back. Kind of switched it. I want to save it. Changes will be saved and preview. So I can also include and say, yes, I want to make, I want to add new options, for example, for them to switch maps. So I don't want to have only one map. I want to have multiple maps included. So I can say add new item and say this will be change map, edit, custom. I want to make it as custom as possible so you see how you can actually control this. But I can say, okay, switch map, and then this will switch to this map, for example, add. And let's say I can reorder it as well if needed. Okay, like this. Okay, maybe. Okay, login box needs to be here. Let's add new homepage, go home, like this. And this is something that I can then change, okay. And let's click save, review. And now I've added these additional tools. Let's see if I change the map, it will switch the map as well if needed. So I can go home, so I can open home that you've seen in our editor application. Now, considering that I have a lot of time, you can actually play around with this application. We'll definitely show you a couple of examples that we built, but you can see how easy and fast it is for you to build your own tool, your own application. And it's all based on the same engine that we've built. We have an example here. Okay, this is perfect example because it shows you how you can tweak the UI of the tool, adding some custom panels, etc. But also it shows you the maps, different maps that we actually created internally. We had a mapathon, we called it, and all of our employees kind of were involved. So we had a contest. We wanted to build, okay, what kind of maps can be built in GIS Cloud from the scratch, completely in GIS Cloud. And we'll share you this link as well, but it kind of shows you, you know, different data sets that can be shown, different symbologies, different legends, and all that kind of information. So it's a really extremely good example of how, you know, how beautiful maps can become through GIS Cloud, plus how it can be all served in a intuitive and simple user interface. Now, this is the map portal part. I will stop right now with this part, considering that we still have something extremely exciting to show you. It never ends. Let me show you something that's next. Okay, now this is what I showed you with the map portal. That map portal can be completely private or can be completely public. You decide. Also, one piece of the puzzle that we built is a crowdsourcing tool. I'm sure all of you or a lot of you already know what crowdsourcing is, but for those of you that don't, it's a tool that helps or enables anonymous users to report something from the field, and you know, through a map. We actually have a crowdsourcing solution that enables people to do just that through a browser part. So you can have a browser application, or you can have a mobile application that you download, and then depending on the project, you start collecting information. We've developed it and deployed it for a number of customers, but maybe the most, let's say, relevant use case that we have with crowdsourcing is our own crowdsourcing tool that we've developed, and it's called Stop Corona. This is an app that we built to enable people all over the world to report their symptoms, so we could maybe prevent, you know, from symptoms. So we can actually analyze the symptoms and see if there are any outbreaks, and maybe create heat maps out of the data that has been collected. So this is the website that we created. And when you click on the link, you will open the crowdsourcing tool. I urge you to actually go to this location. It's called stopcorona.app, and you can actually, collect that information. You can report your symptoms if you have it here in the application. One thing that I also want to mention is that this application is open for anyone who wants to participate. If you want to introduce it in your region, city, community, whatever, you can use it for free completely. The only purpose for this application obviously is to help communities fight with Corona with technology. And obviously I can then use it for showing the capabilities of our crowdsourcing tool. But as you can see, it's completely open. You can see the description part. You can change all these kind of languages. We had great help from our partners all over the world who then translated it into these various languages. And then let's say that I'm currently here. I can set my location. I can start filling in the data that's related to my symptoms, and then I can report it. And then the information is sent to the central database. And then let's imagine that a lot of people do that. They report their symptoms, and you already understand how quickly can we then get, okay, this is the heat map of symptoms that with high fever, and then you send out the news, let's not go there, or let's make sure that we found the source of a problem, etc. So this is a crowdsourcing tool that can be used also like mobile data collection for anything. You decide. Okay, Sumit, I think that was my 10 minutes.
Would you like to extend more?
Absolutely, I would love to. For the live demo, I can always show you something, although there's always a concern that it will be at some point too much for you guys, considering that it's also late. But then we can jump to the contest part. I think you all been waiting for that part. Now, what we mentioned in the title of this webinar is everything's integrated with your desktop solution. You probably use different tools. You probably all know about Esri tools, ArcMap. Everyone knows about QGIS. And this is what we did. We integrated with QGIS and ArcMap. We created our own extensions for publishing data from these tools to GIS Cloud. And we did it in a way that you can actually transfer the symbologies. The projects that you have in those tools, as they are, can be transferred into GIS Cloud with all the symbologies and everything, so you don't have to recreate that map again in GIS Cloud. And obviously, we can explain why would you even want to publish that map to GIS Cloud, right? In addition to that, you remember how I mentioned that it's cool to have all these points appear on a map as soon as someone collects it? Now imagine if you actually have a QGIS project or any project in any desktop tool that you have, and then see those points appear in your own tool. Imagine that. That's actually also possible in GIS Cloud. How? Recently, we've developed a WFS, a WMS as a server, meaning that you can create a map in GIS Cloud and create a WFS link that you can then consume in any tool that you have, and then basically see those points, lines, features, whatever you have, show in your own tool, and every change is then visible in your tool. And this is not it. You can actually change something in QGIS, like attributes geometry. So you can actually have people working directly in QGIS on your WFS layer made from GIS Cloud. And those changes will be then visible back in GIS Cloud. So we made a full circle. And that's something that we wanted to leave for the last part, and something that we wanted to actually include in our contest. So what you'll need to do is you will need to create a GIS Cloud account. You'll need to publish your map from QGIS or ArcMap to a GIS Cloud account. You'll need to download the extension that we have that can be found on our website. It's completely free. And then you can also, and you'll need to upload some of your other data that you maybe have in raw format, whether that's raster, vector, what you choose. And then you can consume that map that you created in GIS Cloud back in the tool that you use to publish your data. And then, of course, we want to hear your feedback on that. It's a fairly new feature. It's extremely powerful feature. and we're still developing some additional tools on it, so your feedback will definitely be crucial. And obviously we'll ask you to send us some screenshots, and in addition to that, if you don't mind, we'll send you like a questionnaire asking about your experience with the tool. And that's basically it, what you'll need to do. If you finish that and send us all the information, all the feedback, we'll provide you with a 6-month subscription for editor and mobile data collection. And you can then start your work. You can use it for commercial purposes or whatever you need to do, but you can get started with it. So I think that's fairly exciting. What do you think, Sumit?
This is definitely exciting. One thing I got, so many people might join late, or they might not got whole idea about how to do this stuff. So whenever you're sending this contest through email, would you be sending some reference video links to them to understand how to publish map from QGIS to GIS Cloud account or something? So that will be helpful for people to learn more and get more aware about how GIS Cloud is helping. So that will be really helpful. Whenever you are sending a mail for this particular contest, I request you to put those videos.
That's an awesome question and an awesome request. Why? Because we've recently also published our new manual, our learning center, that basically gives you all the information that you'll need to publish all that and do whatever you need to do. So it's extremely exciting to have this webinar at this point in time, because we are ready. We're ready for you guys to get started, get tested, and I'm excited.
That's great. This session was like kind of power packed session, and the number of questions that we have right now have crossed bar of 40 questions. There are 44 questions. Some of them I have answered while the video. So if you have further time for 5 to 10 minutes, we'll take some of the questions, and for other questions we'll mail you by creating a list of it, and we'll send those answers through mail itself. So if you have time, I will ask 4 to 5 questions here, which were kind of most prominent in terms of and many people will get enlightened about these particular questions and the thoughts that people have mentioned here. So if you have some time, would you allow me to ask questions, 4 to 5?
Yeah, so do you want to start asking away, or how do you want to do about it?
I will
do you want me to read those, or I actually have the access to those questions as well? Maybe we can choose 10 or 15, answer those, and then answer the rest through email.
Sure. So should I ask you questions directly?
I can read them, maybe, if that's easier for you.
Yeah, that will be great. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start from the last question that we got, and I always like to talk about it at the end of the demo. What is the pricing of the software? Great question. As I mentioned at the beginning, everything's tailored to the budgets, but we have a really open pricing. So if you go to our website, go to pricing, you'll see everything that you need. You can combine it. You can start small. You can scale it up, scale it down if needed. I would say the short answer is it's really cheap considering what you actually get. But yeah, prices are up there. You can see what you need, and depending on whether you'll need to collect data or manage the data in the editor, you can then choose the licenses that you'll need. So great question, but we can then also reach out to you directly and see what specifically you need. I have an extreme pleasure of working with my colleagues, great experts, consultants, how we work, we actually approach each of our customers personally, try to learn about the challenges, try to set you up with a perfect environment, and then discuss obviously about pricing as well. But when it comes to solving issues, it doesn't have a price, right? A long answer. Okay, let's see. Can we get a demo? Yes, you can get a demo. You'll get a demo video, but also we can schedule something that's maybe more specific to your needs. How you participate in the contest, as I mentioned, we will send you. So we'll get a list of all of the attendees and prepare the materials and everything on Monday. You can expect an email on Monday. And then If you have any questions, just reply to that email. Okay, how about exporting data to offline? Excellent question. You can export it through editor. We can export it in multiple formats that you need. There are even some scripts that you can use for backing up the data. So short answer is yes, you can export it. How? There are multiple ways of doing it. We can discuss about what's the preferred way you want to do it, but we can also send you links in our learning center that helps you understand how it's done. Okay, are there any free discounted plans for the students and nonprofits? Absolutely. As I said, we proud ourselves on working with these kind of projects with academics as well, and we do offer 50% discounts for all our subscriptions. Are there any roles to use for GIS Cloud Manager? Yes, you can define who can access what application. You can define access for all these users. You can define who has access to certain storage, etc. So everything is done in the manager application. Excellent question. How much secure my personal work and data is? If I have to go to government-related project in this platform, will they approve? They will concern data privacy. Excellent question. Now, considering this is a cloud tool, everyone's always asking, yeah, this is all perfect. Yeah, it's a completely good fit, but really we can't use it because it's in the cloud. Well, for you, I can say that you can actually use it on your servers as well, if needed. And we already done that for a lot of customers. For example, the project in Saudi Arabia that I mentioned, they need to have it locally in country, right? So we deploy all our products on your servers. Of course, you'll need to maintain those servers then, but you pretty much do it already because of the compliance that you have with the laws there. So yes, we can do it and create your own private cloud. If you're asking about the security of our public or not public of the cloud infrastructure that we use Amazon servers. We also have servers in US and Australia, and Amazon server is one of the most secure servers in the world. We do a lot of things, backups. If you're more interested about how we do things about security, we can send you more documentation on that, but you probably also know about GDPR that has recently been released. We are completely compliant with GDPR. So privacy is something that you have to make sure you take seriously, because you work with a lot of private information, and I assure you, it's completely private and secure. Okay, can it be possible to save the data collected first in the local storage before sending to the cloud? Absolutely, yes. You can work in offline mode. That's why you have that queue tab where you can review all the submissions that are waiting to be uploaded. And then once you get in range of Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G network, then you start sending the data. But yes, you can work in offline mode. Plus, you can work with offline maps as well. So one thing that I didn't show you, and one thing that we'll add into the contest, is you can add your own map and then review that same map in data collection tool and even download it in offline mode. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing. What about the data? Can it be used by GIS Cloud? No, we are completely, we have terms of use, we have privacy policies. We don't own your data. Your data is your data. You choose who can access your data. We don't own it. We can't access it without your permission, because sometimes when you need help or support or whatever, we ask you, can we access your account? And that's the only reason why we access someone's account with their permission and under your surveillance. Okay, we're interested in the tool. Thank you guys. A lot of praises. Perfect. What kind of spatial analysis does it support? For now, we don't have many, but that's why we said that we are working on and focusing on a collaboration part, making sure that there are actions and tools that are related to things that you have to actually do, maybe in the field, or that are done by people that are not in GIS. Because like I said, for some extensive analysis, you'll pretty much always use desktop tools. And that's why we made it full circle, right? But that's why we integrated with the desktop solution. How can we create a watershed map in real time? Yeah, if you have the data, we can consume it. We even have examples of how we integrated with some sensors that have been deployed in the field. And these sensors sending the data in real time to GIS Cloud. So that's also possible. How do we collect the polygon data through the application as a pin drop? Can you please explain? Excellent question. you have actually multiple options, something that I didn't show you, but initially when you collect the information, it uses the GPS that's built in your GPS device. You can actually improve the accuracy of your location by adding some external GPS Bluetooth devices if needed. And depending on how much you're willing to spend, the better the accuracy gets. But we also have a pinpoint tool. And as you've explained it, and as you've asked, you can actually pin drop it. So you go open the map, place a couple of points on a map, and create a polygon. All of that through data collection tool. We'll definitely reach out to you guys that asked questions with more in-depth answers, plus send you a couple of examples and maybe some videos on how it's done. But I urge you guys, definitely it's a free trial. You can test it out, and of course, if you finish the contest, you will get it for free as well. So, okay. Curious to know if there is any enterprise GIS implementation done for any government agency in India. It would be great to know details on the same things. We will reach out to you and see if there are any examples that we already have that are of your interest, and then maybe that you can then replicate. One thing, Sumit, if you agree, I would like to stop now with questions because we now have 50 and we don't, I really can't address them all at this point. But one thing that I'd like to finish with is obviously we'll reach out to you regarding contest. You will get those free subscriptions, but if you'll be interested in expanding your usage, you can always reach out to us. We'll connect you with our GIS consultants, experts in the area, who can then help with your specific case. But also one thing that's important is we are always working with partners worldwide. If you or your company sees opportunity in working with GIS Cloud, if you maybe want to bring GIS Cloud to your market, we can start a discussion there as well. So a lot of huge projects that we've done have been done with our partners. We have them in Australia, we have them in the US, Canada, all over Europe. So you name it. We are being approached by a lot of companies. So we do a screening of companies that want to become our partners. So please, if you're serious in becoming a partner, please reach out and we'll see. We'll see about it, but definitely interested in expanding our partner network as well. Now, like I said, we have a lot of questions and still coming in. So if that's okay, Sumit, with you, I'd like to wrap it up and maybe answer those through emails. What do you think?
Sure. So we have copy pasted all the questions here. So I would like Shubham to conclude this overall webinar. Thank you, Igor and GIS Cloud, for your excellent collaboration, and thanks for the last minute help with the Zoom webinar session. So since we had a limited number of people who can join this particular meeting, with your help and sponsorship for this particular occasion, we were able to cross around 115 people for this particular meeting. You can.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for organizing this. It's been a pleasure working with you, and hopefully, I'm sure we will work again on similar webinars. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. Hello. Good evening, this is Shubham. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, Shubham, you are audible.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to say thanks, Igor, for the great presentation in the QA session. I would like to give a quick recap of the entire webinar. What we discussed about the why GIS in cloud. What are the desktop GIS challenges? Mainly this complex, high cost, slow. The problems that we have in existing GIS platform. What is central data infrastructure? Then we discuss about why to use GIS Cloud platform, because it is a collaborative mapping solution for entire workforce organization. And one more thing, GIS Cloud platform is tailored for all budgets. Means they can pay only for what they use. And there is also a discount for educational and non-profit organizations. Then we discussed about few features like mobile data collection, map viewer, map editor, map portal. And we discussed about some case studies also, like locating and treating contaminated water, GIS for firefighters, maintenance of cyclist infrastructure in Amsterdam, and about some humanitarian projects about saving trees, providing clean water, mapping dry stone heritage. Then the main part of the webinar was the live demonstration of GIS Cloud platform, which we discussed on both desktop and smartphone. And in the last, we discussed about the context that we are going to have. So that was a quick recap. I would like to say over to Sumit again. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, all in all, thanks, Iger. This was an awesome evening, awesome Friday evening, and great start to the weekend. So, me and my team will definitely try to, push many people to use this platform as well as to be a part of GIS Cloud contest, so that many people will get to know about it. And also, the people who don't know about GIS, we are trying to push them and create awareness through the platform.
Mhm.
So the next webinar session, we are planning to have something on related to the programming languages which can be used for geospatial data science. And we would like to have people from your company also to attend the session, as well as empower us the way you're doing right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, all of you. It was a great session, and hopefully we'll get a chance to work with all of you, not just you as a team that organized this, but also with the people attending. So I'm really looking forward to it.